Okay, this lesson is going to be about linear functions and the slope. So just a reminder of what slope is. We use the lowercase letter, let's not use green, lowercase letter m to represent slope. It's also can be known as the rate of change, or rise over run, or change. This little triangle delta, it means change in. So change in y over change in x. Or if you have 2 points, you can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 if you have 2 points. Okay, so let's do an example calculating the slope of a line between two given points. So when we have 2 points, it doesn't matter which point is like your number 1 and which point is your number 2, as long as your x1 and y1 are with the same point and your x2 and your y2 are with the same point. So if we plug that into our slope formula, we'll have 4 minus 7 over negative 2 minus a negative 3. Be careful of the negative, it's still a minus even though that negative, or that 3 is negative. And it also doesn't matter what point you do first as long as you're consistent. If you want to do 7 minus 4 and then negative 3 minus negative 2, that works too. Either both of your 1s come first or both of your 2s come first. So we do this subtraction, and we have negative 3 over, and negative 2 plus 3 is 1, which gives us a slope of negative 3. And so when we have a negative slope, that means our line is decreasing. So negative slope means decreasing. And so the opposite is also true. If we have a positive slope, that means our line would be increasing. So if m is positive, then we have increasing. All right. So I want you guys to go ahead and try letters B and C using that slope formula to calculate our slope between these 2 points. Okay, so you might have noticed with letter B and C, you got some specific situations going on. With letter B, you should have ended up with the slope is 0. And whenever we have a slope of 0, that is a horizontal line. So horizontal lines have a slope of 0. And so for their equations, it's always going to be y equals a, where a is just a number. And then if a horizontal line, it just always has the same y value for every single point. So horizontal line. No slope because there's no rise, but the run is infinite. So just an infinitely horizontal line. Whereas with letter C, you ended up with negative 4 over 0, or 4 over 0, depending on which points you did first. But here we can't divide by 0. Which means that this slope is undefined. Okay, so there's a difference between a slope of 0, which is when 0 is in the numerator, and an undefined slope, which is when 0 is in the denominator. And so when we have an undefined slope, that is a vertical line. And their equations are always going to be x equals a, where x is just a number, or a is just a number. So if we had our graph, a vertical line has an undefined slope, and so it has the same x value for every single point, which is why it's x equals, whereas horizontals have the same y value for every point, which is why it's y equals. Okay, so horizontal lines have a slope of 0, undefined slope is for vertical. Okay, so with slope, we can write equations of lines in what's called a slope-intercept form. that general form is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope, b is the y value of the y-intercept, because the y-intercepts always have an x value of 0, so it's always that point 0, y, and that y, or I guess I'll use b, 0b, and that b value is the y-intercept. And then the y and the x are just a point. This point on the line. Okay, so we can use the slope-intercept form to help us graph. So example 2, graph the following and identify the slope and y-intercept. So again, whatever number is in front of x, that is our slope. So it's rise over 1, that means rise over run, and it's positive, so that means we'll go up 1 and to the right 3. And then the number that is not in front of the x is -4, is our y-intercept. So it's the point 0, -4. And so to plot this, to graph this line, you always start with the y-intercept. So we're going to plot that point, 0, -4. And then we use our slope to find other points on that line, and then we connect the dots. So our slope says we're going to go up 1 to the right 3. So up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 3. Oops, over 3. You could also do the opposite, down 1 and left 3, if you need to get points going to the other direction. And once you have at least like 3 or 4 points, then we can connect those dots with a beautifully straight line, and that is our graph. Now, sometimes when we have an equation, it's not going to be given explicitly in slope-intercept form. If that's the case, you just need to do some converting to get it in slope-intercept form, and you can do that by just solving for y, getting y by itself. So for example 3, we want to convert to slope-intercept form and then graph. So example 3a, we have 2x plus 3y equals 6. So right now it's not in slope-intercept form, so we want to get this y by itself because slope-intercept form is always y equals mx plus b. So when we're trying to solve for a variable, you do the order of operations in reverse. So we have to deal with any addition or subtraction first, which would be this 2x here. So I can subtract 2x from both sides. 6 and 2x are not like terms because the 6 does not have an x. So we just leave it as 6 minus 2x. And then to get y by itself, we divide by 3. And every single term gets divided by 3. So the y equals 2 minus 2 over 3x. Now if you want to rewrite it so it's in like the typical, with the x term first, mx plus b, you can. Just make sure this sign here stays with that x term. So negative 2 over 3x plus 2. So if you want to rewrite it, you can. If you want to just, if you want to leave it like this, that's okay too. Just make sure the signs match up. So then to graph it, again, we start with our y-intercept, which would be the point 0, 2. So 0, 2. And then we use our slope, which is negative 2 over 3. So I always use the signs to tell me if I'm going up or down, and then I just always go to the right. So in this case, it's negative, so we're going to go down 2 and then right 3. Because you want to make sure you don't double count that negative. If you did down 2 and left 3, that would negate that negative there. So you only deal with the sign, whether it's positive or negative, to tell you up or down, and then just always go to the right. So I go down 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3, down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3. And again, you could do the opposite to get points in the other direction. So up 2, left 3. And then you connect your dots. And that's your line. Alright, I want you guys to go ahead and try letter B. So you're going to solve for y, get that in slope-intercept form, and then graph. Alright, now there's just going to be some quick check questions and a self-assessment, and bring any questions you have to the Google Meet.